Hi, I'm Amber, and this is my sister Sam, and this is our podcast, Lipstick, Lies, and Liberation. Today, we're going to talk about why smart women stay too long in their relationships or their marriages. So, Sam, what do you think the number one reason is that women stay too long?
I mean, there's so many reasons, but I think the number one reason, personally, and then what I see is just women being way too fucking nice. Like the fear of misjudging someone, or analyzing a situation and being unkind because we're
Mhm.
programmed to be like super nice and forgiving and loving and always like looking for the good in everyone and not to resolve conflict and to not be a bitch, to not be mean, to be kind, to create the change we want to see in the world. And that's why I think like spiritual, kind, religious, etc., like women who are so sweet are often the ones who stay way too long because they're trying to find a solution or they're trying to resolve conflict with someone who is unreasonable and cannot resolve conflict.
Girl, I feel
So,
like you just described me. Like,
yeah.
it's like, that's me. That's why I stayed.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
every single reason,
Yeah.
besides having kids too. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
kids is a huge thing. I think in relationships and in marriages especially, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the kids, but also it's like but exactly, because when you're just super kind or you're like trying to be the kindest person ever and you want your kids to like witness their mother being really kind and resolving conflict, it's like rather than someone who's like, oh, I will not have my kids observe me being disrespected
mhm.
because I want them to know that they should tolerate zero disrespect. So it's just like it's different focuses and different like I feel like it's permission. Like a lot of women haven't been given permission to respect themselves and love themselves and to know what that actually looks like. Because I think if you've never seen it and you don't know what it looks like, it can be really hard to implement. Like I remember Googling like what are some examples of boundaries people have
Yeah.
when I first started to like actually try to have them because I never had them before because I was always like, well, the world is so messed up and like I've experienced so much trauma and my biggest fear is inflicting pain and suffering onto others like I've experienced. And
Mhm.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, I totally get that. And I think, for me being like newly divorced, I guess, there was definitely this fine line of we grew up with divorce, well, with parents who got divorced. And I remember as a kid, our parents arguing a lot and fighting a lot in front of us. And so when things in my marriage weren't that great, I remember thinking, okay, as hard as it was, when my ex-husband would say something disrespectful or mean to me and they were around, I would bite my tongue and then I would bring it up later if I even brought it up. And
Mhm.
my whole thing was like, oh, I don't want my kids to grow up and look back and think like, oh, my parents were always fighting. It was like this horrible like environment, all this stuff. But
Yeah.
in retrospect, I think it might have actually made it hard for my kids too, because since I got so good at waiting until they weren't around, when we told them we were getting divorced, they were blindsided. Like, I really
Yeah.
think that they were like, well, what do you mean? Like, you guys are happy. But on the same note, I also, like, I don't think they had a lot of examples. So, like, all the things that were missing in our marriage besides it's just not fighting, I don't think they were picking up on. Like they weren't picking up on
Yeah.
the fact that like he wasn't spending time with me or he wasn't sitting next to me on the couch or he wasn't taking me on dates or wanting to hold my hand, like all these things. And for me, I think it got to a point where I sat down and I was like, okay, if my daughter had this marriage, would I be happy for her? Or would I be excited for her? And if my boys were treating their wife this way,
Mm.
would I be happy with that? And there's no way. If I saw my boys
Yeah.
treating their wife that way, I'd be like, you better get in this room and we're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah.
So like those kind of things, I think for me, those thoughts almost trumped more thoughts of like what's best for me, even though it's been incredibly hard.
Yeah.
And like it's hard to not have that traditional family for your kids. I feel like I kept thinking like it was still gonna be the best thing for them in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, So okay, the kids is a big reason, but what do you think was another reason for you in that experience for staying?
Um, for staying?
Mhm.
Well, I definitely think like hurt feelings, right? You develop a relationship with someone. I was married for 16 years. So, and it's just like, I think a lot of it too, like thinking about his feelings, even when I didn't feel like I was being treated well, I was still thinking about his feelings a lot, and which a lot more than I should have. Now I realize, but I was. And I think the other thing is too, like, it's such a big decision to leave a relationship, whether you're in a marriage or like just like boyfriend and girlfriend or engaged. And especially like the more time you have invested, the bigger the decision feels. And I think I was missing that self-confidence of like knowing like the decisions I was making like could be the correct ones. You
Yeah.
know? It's like
Yeah.
having that confidence as a woman.
hmm Yeah. Well, you and your ex, and then I also experienced relationships like this where you trauma bonded when you came together and
Mm,
formed the relationship. It was a trauma bond.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life when I met my husband at the time. And like, I think like being with him and being in that relationship felt very safe, you know? And like, and then early into our relationship, like he lost someone very close to him. And like, so there was a lot of that working into it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, I think one of my most toxic relationships. Uh,
Most toxic, we're gonna put him on a scale.
yeah, one of my most toxic.
Hopefully, not everybody out there can have like a list of toxic relationships. Hopefully, there's just one or two.
Well, some things are unteachable lessons, and
Yeah.
people can tell you things, but it's not till you experience. Well, and again, like it's the thing of what you experience, like breaking those ancestral patterns and that ancestral trauma, like witnessing our
Mhm.
grandma and our mom, like knowing about their relationship dynamics, what they experienced, and seeing it and thinking that, well, this is slightly better than this.
Hmm.
So this must be what actual love is. Or like this is fine because it's not as bad.
Yeah.
But it's like it's still trash. It's
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
like not knowing what it looks like to have a healthy relationship or a healthy dynamic. Like I truly believe like if we do not see it, it's like manifestation talk. Like if you do not see it, you cannot create it because you can't like and you can I mean like even just seeing it in your mind, like if you don't know what a healthy relationship that you would actually want looks like, then like you can't recognize it. It's like
Hmm.
identifying herbs in the wild. Some of them are poison and some are medicinal, and it's very important to know which is which. And if you don't have someone to teach you those things, you just have to try. You just have to eat
Yeah.
things and hope it doesn't kill you. And I feel like relationships, when you don't have a model or any information, it's kind of like that. And I had to pay women to like strong women to be around them and like understand what standards looked like, boundaries, what healthy love looked like, because I had no idea. But we trauma bonded one of my most toxic relationships. Um, I had had a miscarriage and I was very young and I didn't know I was pregnant
Yeah.
and it was a very like traumatic experience and he was like very there for me and would like I would be very depressed and like having a bad day and I told him when we started dating like hey I just went through this thing and like I'm actually kind of struggling with it like I just want you to know because I was so transparent and I was very honest and like
Mhm.
innocent and
Yeah.
he was like he would come he would leave school which was like 2 hours away and he would like show up at my work just to bring me flowers or like bring me a snack when he had like a test the next day and he would have to drive the 2 hours and go back like that same night so he would do that like things like that for me that made me feel like oh this is a safe person who is like
Hmm.
support me and love me and I just like overlooked so much bullshit because we had that trauma bonding like start to the relationship. And so
Yeah.
that's definitely a huge factor is trauma bonding. And then the weaponized empathy.
Yeah. I think that too. I think. when your partner knows that you're very, you know,
Mm.
sympathetic towards everybody else's needs, that can be, taken advantage of for sure.
Yeah.
And I think
And
going back to like what you said with like the boyfriend where you feel like you trauma bonded and he did all these nice things at the beginning, I think that for a lot of women, and I feel like for me too, like in a longer relationship, when you're thinking about ending it, you kind of you like go back to those good memories. Like the bad memories stand out so much because they really like hurt you. But then like you think back to the good memories and then like I know for me, I would start to make excuses for the bad behavior. And I'd be
yeah,
like, "Oh, this only happened because like he's stressed about this and we're dealing with this because like I know he can be this guy, right? Like the guy who drove and brought me flowers or the guy who got me the snacks. Like I know that's
yeah,
who he is deep down. So if I just wait a little longer, love him a little more, support him more, like then I can get that guy back. But then it's like, especially when that's happening at the beginning of the relationship, you start to get to a point where you're like, well, was that him or was that just, like the person that he came through as to get you into this serious relationship? Maybe the person that you're dealing with further along is the true person.
yeah. That's such a good point. And like hope versus reality. Like
Hmm.
you can never love someone into treating you better. That's like rewarding bad behavior, like giving a dog a bone every time it poops on your floor. Like you, it's just that's
But I'm
never,
telling you, I think it's a very easy, natural thing for a lot of women to do, especially women who are like nurturing and loving and just
yeah,
like, very caretakers at nature. Like you want to, you're like, I'll just love them more. And then they'll
yep.
be a better person and they'll treat me better. And then
Because
everything can
that's,
be okay.
yeah, that's how women work. And
Hmm.
we treat men like women, but I just, I don't think we are equal. I think men are very different. And I think
Yeah.
being human, being humans, obviously, there's like a common ground. Like we're not totally different, like on a human level, but
Yeah.
on a specific, like men versus women, our brains are wired differently. Our chromosomes are different. Like I do believe it impacts the way we think and feel and explore relationship dynamics. Um, and and yeah, so I don't know. Like realizing that you're in a relationship with a man and not a woman, like you can't love him to be better. You can't if you give them anything, like I always I always think about our dad when I finally understood this concept of like if you do anything for a man, like he will think, "Oh, she's doing this because I'm so amazing."
Hmm.
Rather than like because she's so amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas like when he does something, it's like, oh, he's so amazing, not
Hmm.
I'm so amazing.
I think that's probably very true in a lot of cases for a lot of men and women. That's a good point.
Well, even our dad, like I do think our dad is actually a great man and person. And he will always say, like, because Stephanie, our stepmom, when they got married, he was like, "Can you imagine like how good of a man I must be that she married me even though I had 5 kids and was divorced? Like
Yeah. It's like a
how good
little.
yeah, like how good must I be if she like chose to marry me?"
Yeah.
And he says that and I'm like, "What about how amazing she must be?"
Hmm.
And
To be
it's
able to
like,
open up her heart to like 5 kids that aren't biologically hers. And yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and it's
Hmm.
and I was like, they just automatically think like that. And before I met Ben, my fiance, like I literally changed that wiring of like men do amazing things for me because I'm amazing. And
Yeah.
like it's just a given and it has absolutely actually nothing to do with them. And so
Yeah.
so I get like I'm immune to it. Like I can't, it doesn't make me love someone. It's just a guarantee that they do so many incredible things for me. And then I observe their behavior, who they are as a person in the world and in our relationship over time consistently.
Hmm.
It will never end. And I've told my fiance this, like it never will end, the observation and evaluation and making sure that he is someone that I feel like is the best human that I could be with.
Yeah.
Vice versa. But yeah, they do like the hope that you can love them into being who they were
Hmm.
is like so big.
So that brings me to the point of, there's always that quote circulating out there that, when you get into a relationship, your partner will show you who they are very early on. And it's just up to you whether you believe it or not. Do you feel like that's true?
Oh, fuck yeah. And I believe it the first time. Like I cut people out like it's nobody's business. Yeah, I think that oh man, I lost it. Um,
I do feel like I've had relationships where men have talked to me a certain way or treated me a certain way, and I've let it go. And
Mhm.
maybe it happened like at the beginning part of the relationship and just once. And then always at the end, I'm like, damn, I saw that.
Yeah.
That is him. Like, that is him. It took me a while to accept it. But there's never, I don't know, I very rarely talk to women who leave relationships and they're like, oh, I'm just so surprised that he was mean or that he was disrespectful or he wasn't the guy I thought I was because it's always like they will show you at the beginning, but you're
Yeah.
caught up in the new relationship and you're in love and you're excited and you're happy and there's all these other good things. So like I think most of the time we will see it and like give them a pass. And then
Hmm.
at the end you're like, I could have saved myself like 8 months,
Yeah.
you know?
Or yeah, well, I always say that the issue that is there in the beginning is the reason why the relationship will end eventually.
Mm, that's true.
Yeah. But that's also why like the whole rhetoric around like body count is such bullshit because there were a number of men that like I dated, well, that I thought like, oh, we're in a relationship now. Like
Hmm.
we're dating and then they just like they got what they wanted and they were pretending. They
Hmm.
were fake. And it's like I had no control over that. They were being a completely different person and I believed them and I was like excited to connect with them and get to know them and like continue the relationship. And it had been weeks and weeks and weeks and like and then they just suddenly changed. It's like that's such trash to like judge someone
Yeah.
over that. It's like it doesn't say anything about you. It says something about them. And like it, yeah, I just, if any, I don't know, I will never entertain any conversation about like body count because I
Mhm.
just think it's like demeaning and embarrassing and like low IQ conversations. Um,
Yeah. Now, do you
yeah.
think men and women in that regard, right? Being someone for a couple weeks, kind of getting what they want and then leaving, do you think men and women are both equally capable of that? Or do you think more like men are capable than women of like future faking or being someone that maybe they're not to progress a relationship to get something and then leave?
Well, have you ever done that?
No.
Yeah. Me neither. Me
No.
neither. Do I wish women were using their free will more
Yeah.
to put themselves in positions of safety or to get ahead? Sure. Yeah. I think women, when we're not living in our truth, I think we get like ill. I think
Hmm.
it's not good for us. It's not good for our
Yeah.
body. It's not good for our pH. It's not good for sex. It's not, we just, it's like, it's like smothering the embers of your soul if
Hmm.
you're not living in alignment with your truth. And I think life will begin to shut down if you begin to li like oh just women. Like I don't think that I think women could try. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, because I don't really know either. I mean, I don't have girlfriends who are like, hey, I really pulled one over on this guy and pretend to be somebody I wasn't or something I wasn't. And.
Yeah, like I got what I wanted from him, like blah blah blah. There is a story though of this woman in China who like dated 20 men and got them to buy her iPhones, and then she sold all of them and made like 30 grand and used it to put a down payment on a house.
Okay. Yeah, so see, like, look, okay, and then here's another thing. So, like, that's making me laugh. And
Yeah.
there's a part of me that's like, oh wow, like good for her. But is that a
Yeah.
huge double standard? Because I'm sitting here slamming all these men for doing that and getting what they want. It's not an iPhone, but it's something else. But then I hear
Yeah.
this one random story about this woman and it's kind of making me laugh.
Yeah.
Is it a
I
double standard or is it okay because you don't hear it as often from women? It's not expected from women.
well, I know personally that my beliefs are that like women have been oppressed and enslaved and have been sold into marriage and traded like cattle and have not had the same advantages. So I feel like it's just completely like it's not even appropriate to even like not saying your question is inappropriate, but I feel like if someone were like if a man were to get upset, it's like no. Like
Mhm.
everything has been set up for you, like medical procedures, medications,
Yes,
testing,
for men to like
laws.
thrive.
Yes,
Yeah.
everything has been set up for you to thrive and to be happy and whole. The pursuit of happiness, freedom, like autonomy over your body. Like, oh, boo-hoo, a girl went on a date with you and you bought her something and like that to me is totally different than someone lying to violate your body because they are lying.
Very true. She was doing it for iPhones. And the example we were giving with the men is to obtain something else, which is something that is, you know, it is a different thing. So I agree with you on that.
What do you think? Do you have more compassion and think it's a double standard or yeah, what boat are you in?
No, I don't. I mean, like, there's a part of me that feels like it when I say it out loud, but I
Yeah.
agree with you. And I think, like this world has been set up to let men succeed. And there's many areas where women are having to work harder
Yeah.
and like fight for rights and certain things and have access to certain things that they need for their body that they
Yeah.
have to pay for or like actively get when men don't have to do that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like reparations,
yeah, so
honestly.
there is a big difference. I agree.
Yeah. Like Robin Hood. She's like Robin Hood.
She's like the Robin Hood.
Yeah, she is. And then I was like trying to not laugh, but there's this quote in I love what's it called? Um Ted Lasso,
Hmm.
where the like soccer pros, one of them is this guy Roy Kent, and he's like very like like just an angry, like grumpy guy. And he gets called out multiple times for like he goes on dates, he like will date a girl and then she ends up like disappearing and stealing his watch. Like like and he's like, it only happened 2 times. So what? Like like they're like, didn't you date 2 women who disappeared in the middle of the night and stole your watch? It was like a Rolex. And he's like,
Yeah.
it just happened the 2 times. So what? Like no, like and but yeah, it's like he has millions of dollars. Like
Hmm. And maybe,
I
and like it is funny because like you don't hear about it that much. Like
no.
there are a lot of times that you hear about these men who do things just to get things that they want and, like leave women with these like false hopes or like future faking and like really messing with like somebody's emotions.
Yeah, or someone's life plans or someone's
Yeah, it's very
finances.
disruptive.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
It could, yeah. It's not, I don't know. That's why my rule of like, I will not ever, like, I didn't move in with Ben until we were engaged because I was like, I would never disrupt my home for a boyfriend. Like,
Hmm.
unless you know that you would commit to me, why would I disrupt my space, my safety, my home, my foundation for you? Like, a girlfriend, being a girlfriend means nothing. Like, it
Hmm.
really does. It doesn't mean I would ever like cheat on someone or do things that aren't in line with my integrity because that is important. But it's like a boyfriend, like, boyfriends, like, it doesn't, to men, it like means something, but not really.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I'm guilty of that. I have made that mistake once before,
Yeah.
like planning and making huge decisions and life changes around a relationship that I thought was forever, that was going to be forever. And I think that's kind of the difference with us, and we've talked about in some of our previous episodes, but like we have different backgrounds, even though we're sisters and we were raised the same way, of how we like established our needs and stuff. Like I got married very young. I was never alone. I never had that time to like build my independence, really figure out what I wanted. How do I feel safe and secure alone? I went from like my house to college to moving in with my fiance to getting married. And
Yeah.
then, shortly after my divorce, I got into a very serious relationship. So, like, this is the first time in my life where I have been alone and independent and figuring out what I like to do and how do I like to spend my time and what makes me feel safe. And, like, I did kind of ruin my home space and stuff
Mhm.
for a future I thought was going to happen that isn't. So like I
Yeah.
think it is important for women and I think so many of them can like relate to our stories, but like
Yeah.
you figured out who you were, spent a lot of time alone, became secure, and then when Ben came along, he added to your life instead of
Yeah.
being like the main part of your life, right? You've always been the main character in your life,
Yeah.
and I don't think I've ever been the main character in my life. And
Mhm.
that's sad, but it's true. Like, I
Yeah. Well,
became
also
part of
you've
a
been a mom.
marriage and a mom. I've never been the main character.
Yeah.
So I think those boundaries are so important. And like,
Mhm.
I'm sharing my story to like let other women know, like, it happens and it happens really easy.
Yeah.
And, all we can do is learn from that and then set better boundaries and just create a space where we feel good.
Yeah. I will say though, just because I like it's like I know my history and you know my history, but like a listener might not. I did live with three boyfriends in the past. So I
I'm over here like, yay, Sam! You
yeah,
made all the right choices.
like she's so smart. She knows she
She's
like
the
knew her
best.
worth. Like, no, I did not. Like I
Okay, that makes me feel better.
yeah, I did not. I moved out at 20 into an apartment with that first ex that I trauma bonded with, and then we lived in the city for 6 months and then broke up. And then he gave a number to a bartender in front of my best friend's boyfriend while me and the best friend were in the bathroom. And I came out and I was drunk and punched him, and his he went flying over a pool table.
Oh, wow. You're strong.
I was bodybuilding at the time, but it's violence isn't right.
No,
Like I
never.
yeah,
No.
like I wish I didn't do that? Sure. But
Yeah.
like I was so young and
Hmm.
I was drunk and which isn't an excuse, but I just was so young. I didn't know shit. And when you're young and you're in love and there's like you're toxic. Like and you don't
Yeah.
have an example, you've only witnessed abuse. It's like you just don't understand and you're set up for a chaotic life and chaotic romance and that's just the truth of it. Like you have one broken paddle and you're in the rapids and you're just like, I know what I'm doing. Okay. And it's like, and you fucking don't. Like you're about to drown. Like, oh my God, stop picking out curtains with this grizzly bear. But like, but you fucking do. So yeah, lived with him, lived with another partner for I think like a year and a half. We dated for 3.5 years and then lived with another person for about maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I forget, but we were together like yeah, 3.5 years, and he bought a house and I moved into it to like help pay rent and just like live
Yeah.
together and but yeah, all of those times like I was in my 20s. All of
Hmm.
those occasions I was in my 20s and I didn't ever think I wanted to get married and no one I knew was married and everyone I knew was in toxic relationships. And it's so funny because at the time I had this mindset of like, love is so easy. Like falling in love is so easy. I don't understand how people have a hard time falling in love. Like falling in love is the easiest thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, because you can fall in love with anyone if you don't ever have any boundaries or like care about how you're being treated.
Hmm.
Like, because you
True.
just don't know to care about those things. You don't, I thought like, well, I love them for who they are. And if I love them enough, they will act better. They will
Yeah.
act different. And like we said, that's just impossible. It's not going to happen. Um,
And I think
But
that can be hard for people to, like, it's easy to fall in love, right? And you could go get like a boyfriend tomorrow. But
yeah.
I think the hard thing is like sitting in the space where you are by yourself
Mhm.
and you're sitting there because you do have certain boundaries and you do want a certain type of partner. So you're willing to be alone or possibly be lonely if that's not your thing, because that's still better than like getting into a toxic relationship or just getting into something that you know is going to be reckless or messy, you know?
Yeah. It's also, I saw a post one time where this woman was saying like why she was recording herself and she was like, why do women who are married with kids like hate single women? Like, why do they hate single women? And someone responded and they were like, because you knew that you didn't have to get married or have kids in order to have an identity. And
Mhm.
a lot of us didn't know that and weren't taught that. So we thought in order to have value, you had to be a wife and a mother and
Mhm.
like matter, but you knew that you mattered as you.
Yeah.
I thought that
It was
was
like
so,
kind of learning something too late. Um,
and
yeah.
obviously that's not everyone, but like,
Oh yeah, I've never looked at a single woman and thought like, oh, I hate her, or I'm jealous of her, or anything. If anything,
yeah.
I just like applaud her, like, yay, good for you.
Well, that's because
Um,
you're you and you're amazing.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, no, but I could see that. And then I think that also goes back to one of the things you said was you never really thought about getting married or anything like that because the people around you weren't married.
Yeah.
So, do you think one of the reasons people stay in a relationship or a marriage too long is because they're in an area where their friends, their social like circles are all married?
Girl, you know the answer to that.
It's a big yes.
Yeah,
It's a
hell
big
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, heck yeah. Oh my God. And where I live now compared to Philly is way more traditional, like
Yeah.
so much more traditional, more like Southern values. I mean, it's a progressive city, but with Southern like remnants of,
Mhm.
which is like some really positive things, but also more like you get married, you buy a house, you like settle down. There's more of an expectation of that, and it's normalized here. And but yeah, like just do yeah, being the odd one out is always like the hard thing to do because that's we're wired to be like our community for safety. It's literally an evolution. Like
Yeah.
people who like someone someone was saying like how because they love their future children so much, they refuse to bring them into a world that is not fit for them, so they won't have children. And someone was like, that's exactly what evolution was designed to do, though. Like that, like evolution prioritizes people who, regardless of chaos or negativity, like will gather. So like even if a church or a religion is super toxic and like not healthy and not safe, people who are more drawn to like community over like what's right,
Hmm.
they're the ones who reproduce.
Yeah.
So it's weird because it's like it's not necessarily like right or wrong. It's just like how evolution works. And it's like it weeds out individual like thinking. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. That is
yeah.
true. Because
So
I'll
like for
say,
me, like I'm not gonna
yeah.
procreate and like that is the
Mhm.
end of my like
Yeah. No, it's true. And
yeah.
I feel like when we were growing up, most people's parents were divorced. That's like my recollection. My friends, I had like my best friend, her parents were still married.
Mhm.
But like she was really the only one. Like most of my friends, their parents were divorced. Like my boyfriends in high school, both their parents were divorced. And so like I think
Yeah.
for me coming around this circle, in my life, the town I'm in and like the community I'm in, there's very rarely anybody who is divorced. So it's like it kind of changed over the generations in the place that I'm in. So like I felt kind of weird getting divorced because like there was a part of me that was like, oh, are my kids like going to be the only ones who like have their parents divorced? And they have a couple that are also divorced, but not many. And then the other thing is too, when everybody's married, like who am I hanging out with? Like, I can still hang out with my friends and their husbands and like stuff, but like, like at some point you're kind of like the fifth or whatever wheel.
Mhm.
And then it's like, who wants to have the single woman hanging out with everybody? You know what I mean? Like, hide your husbands, ladies. Like, it creates this whole dynamic. So I think
Bullshit.
there was a part of me that stayed in my marriage because it was like it was going to disrupt this whole social circle. And
Mhm.
like, if my life was like a table at a restaurant, I really thought when I got divorced, like just my husband at the time would be removed. So like if he was a ketchup bottle, I was just taking it off the table and placing it somewhere else. But what I
Yeah.
didn't realize was like as the divorce progressed, it really was taking the whole table and just flipping it over. And
Mhm.
everything just fell. Like the friendship, the community, the social circles, like everything. And for like a lot of reasons, right?
Yeah.
But everything changed. And I think I was very naive, thinking the only thing that was going to change was I was going to be single and me and my ex-husband were going to stay friends and, we're
Mhm.
going to co-parent great and everything was going to be great. And I think that doesn't happen really for anybody. And it's hard. And I think it lets and creates this dynamic where women do stay longer. And I think I was naive because I thought the only thing that was going to change was I wasn't going to have like my partner anymore.
Yeah.
But in reality, everything changed. And that's
Well, that
hard.
wasn't your fault.
Yeah, but I think it does happen. As much as people say, like, I'm not going to pick a side, everyone's been friends for so long, like, trying to understand things that happen in a marriage because, like, you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. So, like, you shouldn't
Mhm.
be judging people's decisions. It didn't happen,
Yeah.
and it really doesn't. And it does
Yeah, but
change.
honest, any woman who doesn't pick the woman's side, I feel like is truly like naive and unaware and like living under the spell of patriarchy and just like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like,
No, I think so too. Because like as a woman, if you're really good friends with another woman, like I don't care what your friend did, if you're judging their actions, decisions they made, at the end of the day, you can be like, "Oh, that was kind of messed up." And like, like I feel like you shouldn't have done that.
Mhm.
Like, not proud of you, but that's still your friend. And they're like,
Yeah.
I've got you because I'm not friends with you because you're perfect. I'm friends with you because like you're my person. We've been together for years and we support each other. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of women in my life that weren't like that. And I
Yeah.
also found like me disrupting the social circle was like a very big deal.
Of course, yeah. Well, Amber deals, do you mind if I talk about the sports stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Amber's kids do a lot of like sports activities. And so there's like a lot of parents in that circle and your like ex was really involved in that and it mattered a lot to him and I don't know. Amber basically got crucified by these fucking people who are losers and just disgusting, awful, dramatic, baby, narcissist, like just loser is the number one word that just comes to mind when I think of these people. And I've always thought that of them, and I just always thought Amber was so
Mhm.
misplaced in being in these circles. Like as an outsider coming to visit for kids stuff and games and stuff, like coming from the city to go visit. Like I just always fucking thought that and like wanted to, I think I did say to you sometimes like, man, these people drink a lot or like, man, these people like I don't are you're friends with these people? Like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't know and I never wanted to insult you, so I feel like I tried to not be super mean, but yeah. It just was shocking like seeing Amber be friends with these people and then how they treated her after. It was like it was literally a fucking witch hunt and but it's I mean it was a gift because the trash was taking itself out and you don't need narcissistic alcoholic friends who can't even properly take care of their kids being around you and your family. So, I don't know. I like
Well, and
but
I agree with you. And I think women worry about that, when they are
yeah.
like leaving a relationship, like how are their friends going to react? How are people going to treat them and stuff? And I did find that a lot of people, which I was surprised, didn't even ask my side. And that was the thing that shocked me and made me realize these people were never my friends because it's one thing if you think something happened and you're not happy about it, but to not even go up to your friend and say, "Hey, I heard this happen. Can we talk about it?" Like
Mhm.
nobody did that. So it is
Yeah.
like there's very much a patriarchy out there, and
Yeah.
people stay in line with it and people protect it.
Mhm.
And they tell themselves whatever they need to feel better about it. But I do think that it forces a lot of women to stay in these marriages.
Yeah. Well, it's like the cool girl programming, trying to be a cool girl to be accepted by men, to try to be in the boys' club, to then try to like maintain a sense of like power or like, oh, I'm accepted by all these men and they like see me as one of them. So like I'm cool and I'm like, I'm safe. And it's not, you are never seen as one of them. You are never like exempt from the bullshit of the patriarchy if you are in a boys' club. Like, they are still
Mm.
monitoring themselves around you. They are still like they're just still nasty people. And I used to be like, "Oh, I'm a cool girl. I'm like one of the boys." And I did have a lot of like positive, healthy like male friends where if anyone was like inappropriate or like even just someone new, like my jazz friends in Philly, like if there was a new person who came into the group and like they were like, "Oh, who's her? Like who is she? I want to like," and they would ask about me, they'd be like, "Don't be fucking creepy." Like, they would protect me. Like, they would be like,
That's
"You
nice to
can't
have.
Sam out." Like, yeah, like they
Mhm.
would have my back. And if anyone ever was creepy to me, like it would not stand. And it was amazing and like sadly rare. And I experienced that shift in Richmond, like how different those male
Mhm.
relationships could be because I
Yeah.
was so protected. And with them, I wasn't trying to be one of the guys. That was more when I was younger, like a
Mm.
younger age. But yeah, it's like the proximity, why women try to like be like MAGA women and like it's just like trying to be close to power to try to feel like they're exempt from the stuff that like we have to deal with by being seen as less than and like people who want to control you and dominate you and don't see you as a human being. Um, but yeah, it's like I don't know. When I felt so bad when they were doing what they were doing, but I also was really glad that you were seeing them for like you weren't taking it as you were a horrible person who did something wrong. You were just like seeing it as, wow, like I thought this person was my friend and they're showing me that they aren't. And that's really sad. And that's like
Mhm.
rather than like, oh, I must be a horrible person because they
All of
just
a
wrote
sudden
me
don't
off.
like me or they're not on my side. I do have to say that I think going through cancer and then going through my divorce
Mhm.
really changed a lot of aspects of my life and the relationships in my life. And both of those experiences showed me who was there to show up for me and
Yeah.
who was it. And also, there was a lot of dynamics of like, I think I'm a really helpful person and I do a lot for a lot of people. And when I got to places where like I needed help or I needed support, it was
Mhm.
interesting to see who was coming around. And there were women in my life who have that dynamic that you were talking about where they feel good being getting attention from men,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not just even talking about like sexual attention,
Yeah. A
but like
compliment.
somebody looking at them like a guy's guy or guy's girl or whatever, but like having that acceptance. And like there are women who like prioritize attention from men
Mhm.
over like relationships with women. And I
Yeah.
think it's important for like, all women to kind of really support each other
Mhm.
and have each other's backs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the friends who disappear and then the friends who support you. And it is interesting because when you raise your standards for love, you raise your standards for all relationships. And I think that's something
Mhm.
a lot of women aren't prepared for. Like you said, like going through
Yeah.
your divorce, like you thought it would just be removing him, but it actually
Mhm.
removed a lot of relationships because they were aligned with that treatment and that thinking of like needing you to be in a lesser role, like not advocate for yourself, not speak up, not be in your power, like not respect yourself, not have standards and boundaries. And like same for me, like and same for I had a lot of conversations with some clients about like they were like, okay, we're focusing on dating, but I'm actually realizing like I have a lot of friends in my
Mhm.
life that I feel like I need to break up with or move on from, and I'm feeling conflicted about it because it's been such a long relationship with them. And but it was always like they were the one giving and the friend was the one taking, and
Yeah.
making them feel bad for not giving more. And that was when I got sick and like left Philly. I was in the hospital for a week and like had to sell all my stuff in a few days and move. And I shared I was in the hospital. I shared that I got hit by a car. I shared
Mhm.
like so much stuff. And my friends, all these women that I had supported, that I like, they would get in a fight with the person they would live with. And I was out of town. I had a friend, a guy friend, go pick them up. And like they were crying. I had them go pick them up, take them out to eat, and then take them back to my apartment and give them a key, a spare key that I had. And like I made sure that even if I wasn't there, that they would be loved and supported and
Yeah.
safe and taken care of because like I care about my people so much. And they they didn't, I didn't get a single text, an
Mhm.
Instagram DM, they
Yeah.
saw my stories, like they,
Yeah.
not even a heart emoji, like nothing. And it was very weird and bizarre. And then I had a friend who she would take up a lot of emotional space, but then she would try to like make up for it. And
Mhm.
when I moved to Richmond, I got settled. She reached out to me and was like, "Oh, I'm so upset that you haven't like been there for me." And I was like, "If you genuinely cared for me, wouldn't you be like, 'Hey, how have you been? Let's catch up. I know you
Yeah.
just had to like relearn how to walk and be a human.
Yeah.
I know you like couldn't use your phone for a few months because of brain fog and your nervous system overwhelm. I know that, you had to leave everything you knew behind from the last 11 years and start over in a new city where you didn't know a single person and get a new job and like how are you doing?' They were
Yeah.
like, 'You haven't been there for me.' And I was like, 'Are you fucking kidding me?' Like, I'm done. I can't have this conversation. And they were very confused because they were so used to me giving so much. And I feel like that's the
Mhm.
same for you. Like, we just naturally give a lot to the people in our lives. And I think it's really valuable to evaluate, like, whether it's worth it, which
Mhm.
feels rude. It feels like a mean thing to
It
do.
feels so rude. And yeah, it was honestly the first time in my life where I had like true conflict and like feelings of like people didn't like me. And like that sounds stupid to say, like I don't feel like that's ever happened to me before. Like that's
Yeah.
not like a conceited,
Amber was
like
popular in high school.
no, but it's not like a conceited, like unpopular kind of thing, but it's like
Yeah.
I'm a nice person. And like so genuinely I've never had like a lot of conflict or people like openly not like me. And
Yeah.
that's hard, you know, and it's hard as a woman when you're leaving a relationship and then like your other relationships start to like crumble around you. So I think it really does put pressure on people to keep their lives in the same kind of way. But I do think that it's a big deal to like see when you are going through these huge life situations that really change your life, how people are either there for you or they judge you. And that
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about
Yeah.
somebody's character because when people start judging you for things that happen when you're going through like the hardest time in your life, it's
Yeah.
like then you're like, all right, these people should have never been in my life in the first place.
Yes. And it's interesting because I do think that I don't know, it's so I think everyone needs to research narcissism because it was a rude awakening for me, especially in friendships, relationships,
Mhm.
love relationships and friendships, and I feel like for you as well, if I can speak for you on that. And like
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had like surrounded myself.
yeah.
They're like my
Yeah.
choice of people, apparently. They used to be, not anymore.
Yes, until you learn when you're a really
Mhm.
kind, giving person, you're like the sun and you attract everyone,
Mhm.
which means that
Yeah.
you also attract narcissists, unfortunately. And, but I remember a conversation I had with a friend where I invited her to go to the dinner where it was the first night that I met my biological dad, and he came to Philly to visit. And I invited only two people, two very close friends to come with me and like go to dinner and for them to meet my biological dad and like
Mhm.
support me and be and share that experience. And my one friend came and my other friend just ghosted. And
Mhm.
she confirmed like a day before or 2 days before, and then she just like never responded.
That's
And
horrible.
yeah, and she didn't come. And then I called her later and I said it hurt my feelings. And I don't know why she did that. And she said I was just looking to start drama. And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
yes. And I said, I was like, and my ex at the time, my ex-boyfriend was like, I don't think she actually wants to go to dinner with you. I think she just wants to go to dinner. Like
Mm,
whenever she would invite me to go hang out or do things.
yeah.
Um, he used to say that to me and I'd be like, no, like we're friends, blah blah. I was there for her for a lot of things. But anyway, like yeah, so I was so mad. Like 11 years of living in Philly and growing up in New Jersey, like you will cut a bitch. Like you can get in a screaming match. Like I could, like you have a level of sass that is normalized every single day where you like flipping someone off or cursing is like normal. Like that's like not anything. That's just like an average day, you know?
Mm.
It's someone said that the New Jersey hello is like flipping someone off in traffic. Like as you drive past, they're like just
I've
the
never flipped anybody off in traffic, just so you know. Actually, I don't think I've ever flipped anybody off in my life.
what? Okay, you
I,
need to.
I maybe I'll just find someone, I guess, but
You need to. But like, yeah, so I don't know. Like I've been walking and like followed by someone. I turn around and I scream at them. You know what I mean? Like in the
yeah.
city, it like hardens you
Oh,
because
it's
you
got to be much different as a single woman in the city. Yeah.
yeah, like there are confrontations that you have that harden
Mm.
you, or like
Yeah.
you're like walking across the street and someone almost hits you, or like
Yeah.
etc. Like just numbers of situations. So I was on the phone. I was like, she said that I think you're just trying to start drama. And I was like, I was like, the rage was like, I was like turning into the Hulk. And I was
Here's
like,
your drama.
oh no. And then I was like, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be?
Mm.
And then I said, I think it was, yeah, it was over text. It wasn't on the phone, it was over text. And I was like, who do I want to be in this situation? Not like what is deserved, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I want to be someone who honors myself, and that's it. And so I said, thank you for sharing what you shared. Thank you for the friendship over the years. This relationship is no longer aligned. It does not feel good. And I wish you the best. I will not be participating in your wedding or be going to your wedding.
Mm.
And like, I wish you the best and so much love. I just can no longer like communicate with you any way or be
Wow,
in
that's great.
at all. And I just ended it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but it felt like what you said, like the whole table. And this was
Mm.
all like I feel like I lost all my friends in Philly and like all these people, like being willing to be the bad guy in someone else's story in order to have your own back and to be in integrity with your heart and your self-respect is like that's fine. But it's
Mm.
hard to learn if you've never seen it, you've never experienced it, and it's new. Like it feels like oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, and you do feel mean. And I think that lends to the point and like another topic too. So, okay, this is why smart women stay in relationships for so long
Yeah,
before they decide to leave. But how important are the friendships that you have in life once you decide to make that move? And I think we've like touched on that with like my experience of like I really could have used those friendship supports
yeah,
and how a lot of them weren't there. And I had a lot of really great friends and like over the years like and through those experiences now, the friends I have like those are my people. Those are
yeah,
my genuine people. Those are people who I know care about me and I
mhm,
care about them and we're there for each other no matter what. So do you
yeah.
think having like strong friendships and having those relationships is really important when you're deciding to leave a relationship?
Yes and no, because I don't think like yes, like I have Kristen, I have you, we have our sisters and our family. We have such a big family. Like honestly,
Mm.
sometimes I'm like we have such a big family that it's almost overwhelming to where like I feel like I don't have space for a ton of friends.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't care. I don't care. If it involves me betraying my own heart and soul to have someone in my life, I don't care if it leaves me with zero friends. I would rather that and to be in integrity with myself and trust that like God has something planned, that like there are amazing people who will come in my path and who will love me and see me and be able to meet me at the maturity level, at the emotional level. Like I know that, and I know like yeah, I just trust that, and I know that, and I know there's no scarcity. There's no
Mhm.
shortage of love in this world for me, and I do think it's important that if you are someone who's had like someone who's listening and you had a major like clear out of friends or people or relationships in your life, to like spread love. The love didn't disappear and it didn't go away. It's just being like reorganized. And so
Mhm.
something I used to do in Philly was I used to get like daisies from the supermarket, and it was at the time it was like a big bunch from ShopRite for like $4 of like these huge bunches of daisies. So I'd get like three of them. Now I feel like a fourth of the bunch is like $6. So I don't know, do whatever your budget allows. But I would get like three of these huge bouquets, and I would just walk around and I'd hand out flowers to people in Philly. And sometimes they
Mhm.
thought I was asking for money. And I was like, no, this is like for you. And I would go to a restaurant and I would go like get an appetizer because I didn't want to spend a lot of money, but I would just go and then I'd like everyone got flowers. Like I would just hand out flowers to everyone who like I wanted to give them something, and I wanted to give love, and I wanted to like experience that exchange. And I think that we box ourselves in with being like I do think women's spiritual journey is to be more selfish, men's is to be less. I
Mhm.
do think though, like our modern culture is too selfish, and it's like why we're so depressed and anxious. And I think if we think about things we can do for other people, then that is like the love is still there. It didn't go anywhere, and you're
Yeah.
surrounded by it. And I like to think of it like it's our human family. Like even
Mhm.
though there's a lot of motherfuckers out there, like it like I will cut you or give you a flower. Like it's up to you. It's up to you. So, but like, yeah, I think you have to find ways that feel really good for you to give your love in this world. And I think that includes like what you do for work and
Mhm.
how you show up as a parent. And yeah, which you're so good at because you're like the best mom in the whole world
Thank
and the most
you.
loving mom and the best sister.
Thank
And
you.
yeah. So it's like if some people are in their own journey and experience, it's like, love that journey for you. Like Alexis says,
Yeah.
love that journey for you. Like you can go be shitty elsewhere and like learn your lessons that you're here to learn. And like I will be on my own path. And I think it's okay to be alone because you're never
Mhm.
actually alone. And
Yeah.
if you feel alone, it's because you're not like join a group where people share poetry once a month or like a book club, or there's so many things. There's free things online. Go to your library, go to like a coffee shop, look at bulletin posts. Like there's free things, Facebook groups, free Facebook groups. Sometimes if you want to experience things, you have to create it yourself. Like in Philly,
Mhm.
I wanted to be a part of like moon gatherings for women. And this was like 13 years ago before yoga studios ever had them. There was nothing. Like, and I had to create it, so I did. And like I just created a Facebook group and would post when we were having the gatherings in this public place by the river at night. Like
Yeah.
and like strangers would come, women would come, and it would be like three of us, but it was beautiful. And I think having the courage to be on your own and to still be so full of love is important.
And I think
Yeah.
that's a really important mindset. And I feel like that's like, it's hard to obtain sometimes, you know? But I think when you start practicing it and really embodying it the way you have, then it just becomes like second nature, you know?
Yeah. It's
Because I
definitely a
think it is
practice.
hard for a lot of people to be alone. And I know, I feel like, especially for like me and my generation, and I don't know if it was like that for you, I was kind of brought up and like continued to live my life like centering it around a man. Like
Mhm.
even when my marriage
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
good, I still centered my life around a man. So it felt very weird to take my established life, even though I wasn't happy, it still almost felt like it was wrong to like now decenter the man that had been the center of my world for 20 years and
Yeah.
start again and center myself and like my needs. And
Yeah.
I'm still trying to learn that.
Well, you're a little love bug, and you can't let the fact that like there's not a man observing and witnessing and validating that fact
Mm,
change
yeah.
that self-truth. And that is what like deconstructing patriarchy and decentering men is. And
Mhm.
that's the hardest thing is like knowing that just because a man isn't observing it and validating it doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah.
And that's when we learn to be our own best friends and we learn that like even if our bodies change, we're still amazing and beautiful and valuable and like even it like so it's just it's every area and but it is a practice because we are like alone. Uh, It's weird. It's been harder practice for me living in Richmond because Richmond is such a like hallmark privileged place compared to Philly. And
Mhm.
Philly, you're just surrounded by people who are struggling, who are addicted to drugs, dipping out on the street, homeless, sleeping on a grate, like haven't shot, like dirty, like doesn't have access to anything. And you see them everywhere, all day, every day. And you look them in the eye and it like, it forces you to be like, there's so much need for love in this world that like, there's opportunities everywhere.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, when you live somewhere that doesn't have that exposure to other people's experiences, it's easier to kind of get caught in your own stories and like being like, oh, well, because I don't have like for me, I would love to get more close female relationships in person because all mine are long distance.
Yeah.
Besides like a couple amazing women, but they're like, I never get to see them really. So I would love some more like in-person female relationships that are close and like, but that's me, like I need to leave the house like to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It is a practice, and I think the more that you are privileged, which is like so beautiful, but it separates you from suffering more. And so it's like we do feel disconnected from other people. And but then again, it's like we channel that like love, like that like empathy and compassion and like love is healing and growth. Like we channel that into our male relationships like
Mhm.
whether it be our parents or like our spouse or whatever or our kids and it's like when you decenter men, not saying you decenter kids, I'm saying I just mean like
Yeah.
yeah, when like you can channel that empathy and love and connection to yourself and to a community in whatever way that feels really good or into your work. And I feel like as women, we're just kind of taught like Disney princess, like, oh, a man is all of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you because all of those movies are centered around the love story, you know? Although I will say, Beauty and the Beast was always my favorite, and she saves the beast. So she was kind of the hero. Instead of there's so many where the man is the hero, you know, the man comes
Yeah.
and saves the day.
Well, Pocahontas was my favorite.
Oh, that's a good one.
And she literally says you have to kill me if you want to kill him, which is like never ever would I do that. But
But she
but
stood for a lot of good things in the movie.
yeah, I mean it's a completely tragic, awful story that was rewritten as a fairy tale, but it is like, yeah, it's a good movie. And but it's interesting because I remember saying this to you, like the princess or the queen, like the princess, like she has a castle. She has a dragon who protects her. She has like friends, family, like people who work in the castle or like take care of the castle. She has like farmers around her. She's in nature. And then some homeless dude with no shoes comes by and like kills her dragon and takes her out of her castle.
Yeah.
And like usually a bunch of bullshit happens after that. And we're like taught that that's the fantasy. What is this? Like Shrek is like the biggest nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
she
come to
literally like goes from being a princess and is willing to downgrade herself to an ogre
hmm
because she fell in love with an ogre.
yeah,
And
and
it's
live in a
like,
swamp.
yeah. And he wasn't even like there was no he had no good qualities.
He was grumpy, and he like occasionally would do something sweet, and like had better character than the one other option that
It
they
was a
showed,
nightmare.
Lord Farquaad.
But yeah, but it just shows you
Yeah,
how
but
women can literally be in one place and loving or picking the wrong man can make you live in a swamp and become an ogre.
Yeah,
And she
literally.
was happy. She
It's
is
a
happy.
cautionary tale. It's a cautionary tale. I like I think Shrek
It is a cautionary tale.
the horror movie. It's it is.
It's like, how much will this woman give up to be with this
Yeah.
ogre? And like, how many
Yeah.
people out there right now, if you really sit down and think about it, are you with an ogre? Are you trying to
Mm-hmm.
make him into something better? Are you just
Mm-hmm.
going to downgrade yourself to the swamp to be with him?
Yeah. Or your friends. Are your friends ogres? Like,
Mm,
are
yeah.
they affecting you negatively? Are they draining you? Are you always an unpaid therapist who
Yeah.
never gets anything in return? Mm.
So what do you think? What do you think women can look out for if they're thinking about leaving a relationship? Or do you think that there's something like inside that would like give you that green light, like it's time to stop thinking about it and just do it?
Well, personally, I always check in. I think learning from elderly people is the greatest gift, and I think it's a shame that we're not in more regular contact with older generations. Because if you
Mm,
talk to older women, they will tell you. They will tell you,
mm,
don't get married, don't do this, don't do that. Like they know the truth. They know they experienced it and they learned it from so many different generations and times and laws and struggles and like yeah, so I love when I can learning from elderly people or talking with elderly people. And if I can't, I check in with my older self. And in my mind, she's 170 and like so sassy. She doesn't give a fuck. Like she's
mm.
at the end of her life. Like
Yeah.
I'll check in with her and she'll be like, I'll be like, oh, I'm worried about this thing because like what will people think? And she'll be like, bitch, are you stupid? Like she like, and that's just my elderly self's voice. It doesn't have to be anyone else's, but like if you could tune into you at the end of your life, like what would she want for you? What advice would she have if she had lived it all? And like what would she be regretting? What would her
Mhm.
hopes be? Like if she could have a do-over, which is you right now, what would she choose? And 99.9% of the time, I think most women regret not leaving sooner. So I
Yeah.
think having that perspective of like, oh, this is like my one precious life. And
Mm.
if you want to leave, that's reason enough to leave. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be toxic or abusive. If your heart just wants to leave, you can leave and you can change. And that's with friends, family, jobs, anything, a way of dressing. Um, yeah, that it can be a number of things. Like, I know I've been thinking like I for a while thought I had to kind of like shove myself into a certain style or I was trying to because I thought maybe if I embodied that style, people would take me seriously when it comes to business and
Mm.
it would I would like manifest more. But it's like no, like me feeling the most me in every moment because the present moment is all we have is like the most empowering thing. Like that's like who fucking cares what other people think?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah, so
I
and
think
it's
that's
exhausting.
important. Yeah.
Giving that energy away, looking for validation and safety through the opinions of others is just a waste of time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what I would say. What would you say?
I think definitely listening to your intuition and your gut. There's been a lot of times in the last even like 5 years of my life where I've had this feeling and I've ignored it and I've explained it away, and it's always been right. And I can look back now and say that. So I think that is a good reason. And then also, I think if you're in a relationship where you're not truly happy or you don't feel like you're being treated well, or you don't feel like it's just right, but like you have a lot of time invested, like a marriage and kids and stuff, I would just say to do everything you can that feels good for you to try to make it work. Like, for example, like I didn't realize how unhappy I was in my marriage until I got diagnosed with cancer. And I didn't I guess I felt like I would have been more important to my husband and I would have been shown more love and affection. And a lot of those things, he did a lot of things. I don't want to take that away from him, but there was a lot that was missing. And then so like I didn't just up and leave him and get divorced and say like you weren't there for me. like I took that and I looked at it because like for the first time in my whole life, I really reevaluated and thought like, am I happy? Is this the life I want to live? Like I was 37. Okay, if I can't beat this cancer and I only had 37 years, would I be satisfied? Like, is this what I wanted? And I was really surprised at like the true gut feelings and emotions I was feeling to those answers to those questions. Whereas before I got diagnosed, I didn't second guess a thing in my life. On paper, I was going through the motions and everything was great. Like if you had
Mhm.
asked me before, I'd be like, yeah, my life's great. So I think when that happened and being so far into a marriage and having children, I took that opportunity to voice to my partner what was missing in our marriage for me, what I needed, how I didn't feel a certain way, and like things I wanted to change. And I did that a lot. And I gave a lot of opportunities to see if he could meet me where I needed to be.
You
And
tried.
I tried really hard. And I even like pushed to the point where like I pushed and pushed and we finally went to marriage counseling. And that didn't even go well. And he admitted months into the counseling that he wasn't even trying and he was just going to appease me. So, yeah, which was super disappointing. But I think
Who
I
says that? Sorry.
I mean, it was one of the first times I feel like he was honest about his feelings, you know? And he actually
Yeah.
was honest, like, hey, I've just been coming to shut you up because I figured if I go, you'd stay married to me, but I'm not trying. And so, like, but I think for me inside, because I had so much invested, I
Yeah.
needed to know that I did all those things. And
Mhm.
then it was going to be so hard to walk away from that marriage, but I could do it feeling good about it to me. Like I felt like I did everything I could. I tried my hardest, you know? And so like I think for women who are in these really long relationships or have children tied into it, you might need to do that to feel like you gave it every opportunity you could. And that way, like I'm not going to look back and say like, well, maybe I should have done this or maybe I should have been honest about this. Like I was, and it didn't change it. And then so I was like, okay, this is incredibly sad, but it's time to move on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So one thing I think that women need to develop in their lives at some point is letting themselves be the authority in their own life, about their own life. Like in their own life, about their own life. It's kind of like the Taylor Swift lyric where she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Was I being loud in my own house that I bought with songs that I wrote about my own life?" Like,
Hmm.
I'm sorry. But yeah, being the authority over your own life and trusting that you can make decisions that's right for you and it doesn't have to make sense to other people, regardless of religion, family pressures, friends, location, economics, like, and just trusting the abundance of what you know that you deserve, like being a human and being alive. There's no scarcity of love or abundance, and trusting that if you feel drawn to it, it's for a reason and you don't have to like keep yourself stuck to be safe.
I
So
agree.
really trusting that, like trusting that things can work out and be
Mhm.
amazing, and you can be safe and free and happy and healthy and um, yeah. But so that's why smart women stay too long. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that you're a very loving, compassionate person and you are learning things that you have not learned so far. But thank you for joining us for Lipstick, Lies, and Liberation. I'm Sam with the amazing Amber, and we are excited to talk to you next time. Leave us a comment. Let us know if you stayed in a relationship too long or a friendship too long. How long did it take you to leave the relationship? Did you give yourself permission? Did you seek validation outside of yourself and authority outside of yourself to make your decisions? And how are you doing now? Like, was it just something you experienced when you were younger, or is it an ongoing lesson for you?
Yeah, and I'd love to know too, if you did leave a relationship, was there one thing that prompted you to, or was it a series of things? So that would be interesting to know as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.